It's 4:08, and I'm going to call the Zoning and Annexation Committee meeting here together.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
So myself, Cheryl Ramos, the chair, and my committee members, Dan Lonzer and Tom.
My name's Tom. How are you? After we're around each other for a couple of years, you'll probably figure that out, right?
Are here.
Still working
And
on it.
so the purpose today, and you all were here for the planning commission meeting. Our purpose here is to consider any proposed zoning map amendments for development at the former Howden Buffalo property as considered by the planning commission, which just met. So you heard the presentations, the information, and I do have a question. Have you guys read over the PUD requirements in the zoning?
No,
Yeah, but
no, but I understand his explanation today.
Okay, okay. So wait a minute, where's Josh? Oh, there you are. Could you just briefly, again, because this time the meeting is being recorded. Could you explain the public unit?
Planned
unit development, you got me confused.
Yeah, so obviously this is new for our city. We've never had the option to do a PUD before. Other bigger cities, it's a common thing. Well, I shouldn't say common, I don't know, but it's a thing. Basically, the bones of it is, it's an option for the city to zone a section of land to where it fits a plan, where our other zones would be too restricted with setbacks, lot coverage, uses, that kind of thing. So when we have a big chunk of land such as the Howden property where the potential to do what was just shown to us, multiple buildings, parking lots, roads, lighting, streetscaping, all that stuff, it fits better with a PUD. It's an option that we didn't have before. That's why when we rezoned the city and went through this whole process, this site was Wendy Mueller said that this would make a good PUD. And without diving into it, because I'm not super familiar with it yet, this is the first one we've done, but it's a process where the plan is presented to planning commission, recommended to you guys like it just was, a preliminary plan. In this case, well, in all cases, there's a zoning amendment that goes along with it because it's not the land's not zoned as PUD. And that zoning amendment is tied to the plan that was presented to us. Moving forward, if it goes through you guys and goes up to council and gets everybody's blessing, moving forward, that plan will get more defined and will be presented through the whole group again. We'll finalize, this is exactly where the structures are gonna be, this is exactly what we're doing. Our water and sewer guys will get more involved, for utilities, and all those details will be worked out for a final plan that will go through planning commission. If planning commission doesn't like the final plan, they kick it back, there'll be some back and forth. Once the planning commission's approval, it goes up through you guys again, and then if it gets everybody's green light, then we've got a new development coming. In this case, it was a little bit rushed because of the interest, apparently by multiple developers, is to do with federal tax credits, and there's a deadline to get, the zoning and everything done. But in my opinion, we've already been prepped for it, knowing that we wanted to do this type of thing anyhow, so that's kind of the basics of it.
My understanding is too that if all the pieces change, we can change.
Correct.
We're not tied to anything. We're not tied to this or anything else.
Correct. My recommendation was to keep it zoned as the PUD though, since
Right.
the multiple interests
Yep.
of that in. And if they all fall off the map and it's zoned PUD, and somebody comes in and wants to do something that would benefit the city and it needs a zoning change, we can go through a zoning change again.
Yes.
But with multiple people interested, my thing is, let's get the land zoned where it needs to be to help them out and help hopefully us get some.
Gets the process moving anyway. It's not moving now.
And I know in the pre-app meeting, if you guys weren't there, Pete did give a number that he did not give today. It's like, what, $80 million investment coming in the city or something like that. I mean, that's huge. and we need the housing, so I'm all for something like this on it. I mean, we need it. It's a change. I know the mentality in this area doesn't like change sometimes, but it is what it is, and if we don't adapt, in my opinion, you fall behind, so.
Thank you. So any, questions from the committee?
Is there already proposed legislation drawn for this? or not?
But that's what this meeting is for, to make a motion for that, when we get to that motion. So we don't have legislation right now.
So we need legislation drawn up before we can act?
Yeah, yes. And so that's what I want to ask Josh. So the next meeting we can have is on the, in count, May 11th.
May 11th?
May 11th. And then we can meet then, and then I think from that, we have to have a 2-week notice for public for the next meeting, right, Josh? I'm reading in here.
There's a public hearing requirement for the planning commission, which we met today.
Yes,
And then I can't remember if it was for the zoning annexation committee, which that would have been for today as well, or if we have to have a 2-week notice for.
2-week notice,
the
so
council as a whole meeting.
Monday would have been 2 weeks for the 11th, so the 2 weeks, we'll have to go back
Let me
to,
look at that to see if we require that for the council.
yeah, that's the way I was reading it, but we can check that.
Sounds right, but, one thing I wasn't sure of when we were talking the pre-app meeting was, does there have to be, once it reaches council of the whole, does it have to have 3 readings? It does not. So, I mean, if, let's say we can't hit the next council meeting and we have to do the 14-day meeting,
We can still suspend rules.
correct, it can be.
Yeah.
Still suspend the rules and
That way
move
they
it
can
up.
get their applications in and all that stuff, you know, or else it's
And
all shot in.
my understanding too, from talking to the mayor earlier, 2 times this week, maybe you can clarify this or verify it, is that we don't have to have the zoning particularly changed, but it needs to be in the motion, there needs to be a letter.
Yeah, that was my understanding. Is that correct, Pete? That there could be a letter
Well, so.
saying that we
So
intend
what we
to?
will provide to the state is a letter from the city saying the property so. That application needs to go in by June 6th.
Okay.
So in theory, in the perfect world, yeah, we want council to take action before June 6th.
I would.
Oh, yeah, that would happen then, that would be on
Yeah, I
the
was just gonna
Take the
say,
action before
second
when?
meeting in May,
June 6th.
25th.
yeah.
Yes.
We've got 2 meetings.
We can do that.
Yeah, or you could always call a special meeting. Yeah.
So that, I mean, that would work, okay. So, any, comments from the administration?
No, we just wanted to move forward.
Can I make a comment, Cheryl?
Yes,
While we
it's
still
your
have them
turn.
here? Yeah, so for the citizens in New Philly that, you know, low-income housing's a bad word. You know, that, you know, if they come up to me and say, we don't want low-income housing, how do you answer? This is brand new to me, I've done no research whatsoever, just, so I have no opinion at this point. But how, if you don't mind, like, what would you say to that
Yeah,
question?
I mean, ultimately, these products, first off, for the senior product, we're talking about your retirees. These are, you know, trying to help them make ends meet, work off the fixed incomes. A retiree meets the low-income definition just by the nature of the retirement. So for seniors, it's pretty simple. 90% plus of your seniors in your community meet the 80% AMI definition. And I think when most people think of low-income housing, they're thinking of Section 8, they're thinking of HUD, they're thinking of your public housing or housing authority-based projects, project-based Section 8 projects. And we don't have that rent subsidy. Yes, there are circumstances where a resident might have subsidy that can be used in the project, but at the same time, it's workforce housing. They call it that for a reason. The whole definition is to house the workforce who might not be at an income level to be able to own a home. At 80% AMI bar, in your county, households upwards of 68,000 of income still meet the affordable definition. So, I mean, what is low income is a big gray area. So from my standpoint, our goal is, with the workforce housing, to serve people making anywhere from $18 to $35 an hour, and that's thousands and thousands of households in your community. I think our initial market study, just a little quick first test that we did, showed that they think there's somewhere in about 2,500 households in the area that meet this definition, that need this housing, that have no housing option right now. So they're living in a substandard rental, you know, and that's really who we're trying to serve here is working class individuals, you know, not necessarily a public housing unit where someone's not incentivized to work. You have to work, you have to make enough income to pay the rent to live in our facility.
I would, and maybe I'm wrong, but I would assume that would be the biggest question we're gonna get as council and administration. And maybe Mayor Day and Ron, you guys might have been further in this and had those conversations, to not worry about it, but, you know, this is my first hearing about it. I'll clearly try to do as much research as I can, and maybe you got stuff you can share.
It's workforce
as well.
housing,
Yeah,
Councilman.
And I
It's
think,
workforce
and I
housing,
think,
which we desperately need.
I think
Got it.
the great word that Pete just uses, and I said it in the meeting we had before, some of our folks are in substandard housing now. And I believe that some of these folks that are out there now in the rental business are gonna have to up their game, because if Pivotal has this unit that's brand new and is $900 a month, built to green standards, built to the highest standards as far as, you know, the substandard goes to, maybe that furnace is 80% efficiency, where these furnaces are 90+ efficiency. So I think they're gonna have to up their game, which is gonna help everybody.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's been my thing, and I even said this in the first meeting that we had with Pivotal, is I think it's workforce housing, and that it's also gonna make our other housing, they're gonna have to up their game. Plain and simple, because they may be getting 1,300 and it's subpar, but because there's no inventory.
And could you guys share some of the properties you've done that maybe are within an hour drive? I don't know if you have any.
No, there is a lot. Go ahead, Pete. I
Yeah,
don't
well,
want to
so, some of the folks visited, Lawson Roberts, which is in Canton. But we also have, properties in Boardman, Liberty Township, which is Trumbull County, 2 in Worcester.
I was gonna say Worcester.
Okay,
Yep.
well, that would be
2 in
great.
Medina. Those are probably the nearest, and then if you wanted to
Sandusky.
head south, down in Delaware County, we have 2 as well.
Josh or Mayor, would you mind getting those addresses and just sharing that?
I'll-
I would like to go drive, see these.
You can go to the Pivotal website, yeah.
To piggyback
What-
off of his comments to ease those fears a little bit, I completely agree with what Service Director Knight here just said, because my job, I'm boots on the ground in those places every day. This type of development that this whole county does not have is gonna make the other landlords
They got up their game.
up their game, because a lot of people that I deal with every day don't have options. And when those options are available, I think they're gonna fill up fast over here, and it's gonna I think it's gonna have a positive domino effect on other properties that are already in the city, because they're gonna either have to fix things up or they're gonna sit there empty. Vacant property registry kicks in, they're gonna have to start sitting. I think it's a positive impact in other ways that people that have those fears are gonna see in time.
But
in my
again,
opinion.
I don't wanna say that I have an opinion, I'm brand new, I'm just
No,
trying to.
I'm just-
like,
No,
I'm just here to-
no,
I
I'm
just,
saying-
I
I'm not
don't
saying
wanna
that
say
either.
that I'm saying, I'm just trying to think ahead what's
One
gonna
of the
be
other
and
terms
get in
that's
front of
used a
that.
lot with a product like this is the missing middle, is because you've got 2 kinds of ends of the bookends, is market rate housing or for sale ownership housing on one end, and the other end of the bookend is your public housing and your Section 8 housing, which is rent subsidized. But there's a lot of people in this middle ground that can't afford to own yet, trying to get their career started, out there working their butts off for $20 an hour in many cases. And they fit into this missing middle. They make too much, they work, so they make too much for a voucher, but They don't make enough to necessarily go out and own yet.
And you mentioned during your speech that it wasn't important, but you said you do background checks, they can't be felonies, which is important. Like, I heard that, and I definitely was like, oh, there we go. But-
Yeah, there's kind of three tests that make under the 80% bar, but then also make enough to afford the rent, and then the criminal background check, which
Well,
is.
thank you. Yeah, you had a great presentation, I appreciate you coming.
And I think that piece of the, I guess what I want to say, the low-income housing that's out there, or the vouchers, or whatever you want to say about that, they're out there now, living out there everywhere you go, on every block, I bet you'd say where rentals are, where this is, I think, more controlled as far as, because I can tell you that those other places that are housing them aren't doing that background check. Aren't doing, you see what I'm getting at? So
Okay.
they're there, so I just think that this is a different layer, more insulation there.
No, appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yep.
And then I have another question. Do you guys do, a lot of landlords do credit checks? Do you guys do credit checks?
Yeah, they
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, he mentioned
He
that.
mentioned that. Yep,
Okay, I thought you said background check.
and credit
Yeah.
checks.
Another thought too is with the senior unit, if it's 80 or 100, that's 100 houses that are gonna come available on the real estate market that we desperately need to
Correct.
fill it out.
Positive zone and affecting multiple ways.
Yep, that's a fact of that.
That's at 150,000 right
There's-
there.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Do you mind if I
Martin?
ask him a question?
Yes?
All right, I didn't want to interrupt you. I just want to clarify, so one of these buildings will be senior housing and one will be workforce housing? Is that how that works?
That's that's what we're, we'll make 2 applications to the state. Each would be reviewed individually, and they could choose to approve both, they could choose to approve one or the other. And then ultimately, our goal would be is if one gets funded and the other doesn't, as long as the owner of the property wants to, we would just try again the next year, potentially
That's
bring
what
that
I
up.
wanted to hear.
Okay, any questions, input from the public? Or anybody else?
We do need a 14-day public hearing before our council rules, so we won't be able to get into it.
Be the 25th.
Yeah,
I still
okay.
plan not, like I said,
Right.
it doesn't have to be.
Right.
Thank you for looking that up. Okay, so, we don't have any legislation, but, I need a motion for legislation to change this zoning from regional development,
Regional business.
business, okay, to PUD.
And be the accepted.
I'll give you the motion.
Land unit development.
I'll second that.
Okay, now I take a vote. Tom,
Tim, usually. Yes.
I'll vote
Dan?
yes also.
and I vote yes as well. Okay, so, so Marvin, for our next council meeting, we'll need to have the legislation. And I'll schedule a zoning, what time do I need? I think
How long do you need? Because 6:40, we have a
15
meeting.
minutes?
Okay, so 6:30. We'll do it at 6:30.
6:30? Okay, that'll be good.
And Josh, what did you say, how was currently zoned?
Regional business district.
Okay, 6:30 on the 11th.
11?
And the 11th.
Yeah. that
Yep.
was- And then there's other meetings
After.
after
Yeah.
that. Okay, then we'll put we'll review the legislation, put on the agenda, and
Yeah.
go
You-
from
you should have
there.
it ready,
Okay, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Dan's the adjournment man.
That's right.
4:27.
I'm gonna get us out,
right?
to get us out.